when you take time to disconnect, when you take time to pull back and you start to absorb other inputs, but when you start to go to the other side of balance, you start to kind of open up and unlock these other parts of your story, these other parts of, your strategic mind, other parts of your mind that just aren't able to be opened up because you're so focused on one thing, business or whatever it is, right? What's up, y'all? About halfway through the month of July, the sabbatical I'm taking this year, and I'm getting some really, really cool Instagram DMs. If you're not following me on Instagram yet, head over to Instagram. Find me over there, trevor.mauch, M-A-U-C-H, trevor.mauch. Follow me up, y'all. I actually answer those DMs. I'm the person who manages that account. And I'm way better answering DMs over there than emails. So, guys, check it out. Definitely would love to connect with you over on Instagram. But I'm kind of documenting a sabbatical a little bit, taking some cool pictures of where we're going. I just got done with some cool mountain bike riding yesterday. Today did a bike ride with my daughter. The kids are at this thing called the Shark. It's got water slides and stuff like that. And then me and my friend Kellen are going to go out and do some other guy stuff here in a bit. But I've got a few minutes, so I want to shoot a quick little update, Trevor Truck Talk here, on sabbatical and some thoughts that have come up. So many people are asking, what am I doing during the sabbatical? Is it plugging? Is it unplugging? Is it for recharge and relaxation? I've kind of talked a little bit about it in the past episodes, this past several weeks. So go check out the past episodes of the Carrot Cast, especially the Truck Talks. And I'll give you a clue of why I'm taking the sabbatical, what I'm doing, things like that. But I'm going to give you an update and some really amazing mental breakthroughs I've had in reading some books during the break. So right now I'm reading two books. One of the books is called The Great CEO Within, from a really, really great coach. You can go look up that book, guys, The Great CEO Within. And it's mainly for software company owners, but it really applies to any business owner. It doesn't have to be just for software company owners. So go check it out. The author is Matt Moshari. I had a chance to connect with him about a month ago in a very, very small group chat. There were about 10 or 11 of us. And we got to ask him tons of questions. I was even more impressed with him as an entrepreneur, as an author after this. And he's a real deal. He's sold a company, exited well into the tens of millions, and now he's coaching other people how to do the same thing. And then the other book that I just finished up, I mentioned in a previous Truck Talk, was Simon Sinek's Infinite Game. And that's an amazing one. I actually got that one from a Carrot customer and buddy, Adam Johnson. He's at our last Carrot camp and had a big breakthrough with himself and his business partner, Brent Moreno. And he sent me that book, and I dug into that at the start of the sabbatical. And the way I kind of read books, y'all, is I usually look at the table of contents, see if there's anything that's interesting for me. And then I don't really read it in order all the time, and I don't really read every chapter. What I'll oftentimes do is find anything that's interesting that pertains to what I'm going through right now, and he unlocks. I'll go read those chapters. I'll read the first page of the chapter. If it's interesting to me, then I continue reading the rest of the chapter. And then I really treat every page that way. If I read a page and it's not interesting, by the time I'm halfway done with the page, I'll skip that page and go to the next. Same thing. If I skip 2 or 3 pages in a row in that chapter, I'm just going to move on to the next chapter that seems interesting. And so that way I don't waste a lot of time reading it. Just read the stuff that is good takeaways. So I'm actually glad I changed my process this time around a little bit. I said, you know what? Usually with the type of book that the Infinite Game book, usually as soon as I kind of get the concept of what they're talking about, which I talk about the Infinite Game in a couple of Carrot Casts ago, so go check that out in the archives. When I kind of figure out what they're talking about, then I kind of skip all the fluff, skip the stories, and I move on and I apply that lesson. But I'm so glad I didn't this time, so I think I might adjust the way I read books a little bit. There were a couple lessons, a couple stories in this book that I've really been stewing over, that I've really been thinking about. And the cool thing is, when you take time to disconnect, when you take time to pull back and you start to absorb other inputs and you start to go to the other side of balance, I'll explain what the other side of balance is here in a second. But when you start to go to the other side of balance, you start to kind of open up and unlock these other parts of your story, these other parts of your strategic mind, other parts of your mind that just aren't able to be opened up because you're so focused on one thing, business or whatever it is, right? And so reading this other book, it's an amazing book that's on this other coach. So I'm reading two books and the two best coaches in software history, Matt Mochary. This one's called The $1 Trillion Coach. And the $1 Trillion Coach is the guy who coached he coached a lot of the big guys. He coached the two Google founders. He coached Marissa Mayer from Facebook. He coached Steve Jobs from Apple all the way through his main years when he was going through the tough stuff and coming back. And he coached so many other amazingly successful people and really grew those companies, helped them grow those companies into over $1 trillion in value. And it's an amazing book. And within that book, there's stories that tie back to what I learned in Matt Mochary's book and tie back to Infinite Game. And here's one thing I'm thinking about that I want to toss your way. And this might be really, really high level thinking. This might be something where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to make a couple bucks right now. Or I'm just trying to figure out how to make this a real business. Or, you know what? I just can't find my purpose in business or life. And it's just not worth it for me to think about that right now. Okay, I can tell you that as entrepreneurs, I've talked about this a lot in the Carrot Cast. As entrepreneurs, we usually start out with one aim. It's to run away from something, right? It's to run away from the job you don't like or the income that you don't like, or to prove people wrong about something, and you're running away from that bad influence from those people. And you're running, that's what motivates you. I want to get away from this thing. That's what you're waking up early to do. That's why you're sticking through those pains. That's why you're sticking through those frustrations, is because you don't want to go back to that thing that you're running away from. And then we find a way to make money. We find a way to make that a business, and you reach those initial financial goals. And then where a lot of people kind of get stuck as entrepreneurs, usually 2 to 4 years in, is you start to lose that fire. You start to kind of look around and experiment. You start to look at other opportunities. You start to start another business or two. And I'm not saying this is bad, but I am going to say this is the one single spot where most entrepreneurs are going to take their first steps into failing as entrepreneurs. And that happened to me. My income went from six figures, well into six figures, down to $27,000 purposefully. I had to do it purposely because I had to do a complete reset, because I got to that period, 2 to 4 years into the business. I was running away from this thing, or away from instability, away from income that I wanted to grow, those types of things, away from the prospects of getting a job. And then I found a way to make the money, but I didn't switch into running towards something. And I'm going to be talking about this very specifically on how it relates to the Infinite Game book, and then how it relates to a quote that I read the other day in a completely different book, which was amazing. Okay. So you have to, around that 2 to 4 year time period, once you're done running away from the thing, once that motivation is gone, you have to switch towards running towards something. If you don't, then you're going to find this massive void in your heart, in your gut, in your soul, and you're going to keep trying to find a way to fill that void with other stuff that isn't going to get you what you want. You're going to try to find it with buying things. You're going to try to find it with starting other businesses or looking at all these other things as opportunities. You're going to try to fill that void with distraction. You're going to try to fill that void with being distracted from what made that business successful and starting to dabble in other things. And then over the next year to two, you're going to start to see that original business that was successful start to dwindle down, and your other ones, hopefully they catch on, but maybe they won't. And then you're going to be set back financially where you were 3, 4, 5 years ago. Now, I'm saying this from experience. I'm also saying this from not just my personal experience, but from experience from so many entrepreneurs that I know that have gone through this cycle. Okay. And I'm working on a framework right now on what this cycle is. I've got a document, a framework that I've drawn for it. I'm going to start writing blog posts on my personal blog, trevormock.com. Go subscribe over there. I'm going to start writing blog posts over there at least each month, but I'd love to write a couple times a month on these frameworks I'm learning in life and business, kind of expanding upon this stuff at a deeper level over on my blog, trevormock.com, M-A-U-C-H. Okay. But here's a concept I got from the Infinite Game from Simon Sinek that ties into what I was just talking about before. Okay, he talks about in the infinite game, which is business is an infinite game. It's not like it's not like baseball. Baseball's a finite game. Okay, there is a winner. There's clear rules. There's a clear time when it's done. Okay, that's a finite game. It has an end to it, and it's clear what that end is. When someone gets more points after this period of time or these numbers of innings, the game ends, and there is a winner and there's a loser. But in business, it's a finite game. There aren't winners and losers over the long period. There's winners and losers today, but the problem is if we're just trying to go out and win and beat our competition today, over the long period of time, we might actually end up losing. So when we start to switch our mindset from the infinite game, from just going after metrics today, from sacrificing long-term vision, long-term cause in exchange for short-term gain, you're going to find yourself struggling in business and having that 2 to 4, 2 to 5 year cycle where you get burnt out, you try something new, your original business that was doing well starts to dwindle, you start something new, that one catches on 2 to 4 years after that, maybe 5 years, the same cycle happens over and over and over again because you're playing a finite game in an infinite world. Okay, so here's the deal. In that book, he talks about the just cause. And with the finite game, or with an infinite game, you need a just cause to push you forward, because if you are running a business and you're just basing it off of goals or growth percentage and in numbers, you're going to eventually get burnt out. Like I said, you're not going to have the fire in your belly to keep moving that forward. And you're just going to be wondering, why am I doing this? Is there purpose for doing this? Why do I have to keep on growing revenues? But there's a good example with Patagonia. When Patagonia was growing their company, they were just growing like a weed. And I listened to this, read it in that book. And guys, I tell you what, the universe is intentional. Okay. The universe connects the dots, connects things in a very intentional way. The very same day I was reading that book, Infinite Game, this is several weeks ago, when I read that passage about the Patagonia part of it, I also was just randomly listening to Business Wars, and the next episode that came up, next series was Patagonia versus North Face. And so I'm like, this is so cool. I'm going to listen to this. And it dug into it even more and gave me even more context to the Patagonia story. And it fired me up even more about going back to work and really wrapping my head around the making Carrot a more infinite business, one that isn't just around for numbers this quarter or next quarter, one that really doesn't have to be tied to a high growth percentage every year, one that isn't about winners and losers, but it's about pushing forward a just cause that is the reason the business exists, not just something we use for lip service. And I think, honestly, I've been a little bit guilty of using our Carrot giving program, using the Carrot Impact Fund as a afterthought, as a, hey, we're growing a great business, we're bringing great profits in, we're doing amazing things, helping lots of people with our customers, with our content, with our Carrot Impact Fund. But honestly, I don't believe that our Carrot Impact Fund and the just cause behind it is the thing that's driving our business forward. And I'll tell you why I came to that. Okay, so in the story of Patagonia, they were growing really, really fast. And the owner was faced with a choice. He said, essentially, they had set goals for growing, I think it's 40 or 45% this one year. You know, they're up into the hundreds of millions. And he was starting to not enjoy his business because it was about hitting your metrics each quarter. And he pulled back and he started to ask his shareholders, he's like, why are we doing this? Like, I don't want to grow my business anymore. What if we just stopped growing the business more and we just dialed it back to grow the business at whatever pace it would grow at in order to be fun, be challenging, but also advance our just cause of really saving the world, pretty much, for lack of better terms, right? And they had planned that year for 45% growth. They had still hit like 35% growth. But what happened was when they came together, they were actually kind of upset. They were upset that they, quote unquote, only grew 35% when that was the largest dollar amount that they'd ever grown in a year. And they're pulling back and saying, you know, there's just something wrong with this. There's something wrong with this, that we've grown at such an amazing rate, and we're finding ways to feel bad about it. We're finding ways to poo-poo that. We're finding ways to say, man, we're not doing enough. And they pulled back and they said, well, what if we just stopped growing the business this much? And what if we treated it like the business is going to be around in 100 years? If the business is going to be around in 100 years, you don't need to grow at 30, 40, 50% a year. What if you grew at 5% or 10% or 20% a year? And you just focus on having a healthy company, a healthy culture, getting the right people on board. What if you focus on having a real just cause that the whole business can wrap around? And the reason the business exists is to advance that just cause. And that's what they did. They said, you know what? We're no longer going to go after high growth margins. We're going to build a business that's fun, that's sustainable, that grows 5, 10, 15, 20% a year, not 30, 40, 50% a year. And we're going to do it not for our shareholders. We're going to do it for us and our just cause, which is nature, which is saving the earth pretty much. And so they start to tell a lot of stories in the Business Wars podcast and in Simon Sinek's book about how Patagonia made decisions at that point. Black Friday was coming up, and while all the other retailers were trying to sell more clothing, their CEO, Yvon Chouinard, I think his name is, he basically said, hey, I think it's not a good thing if we sell more clothing, because if we sell more clothing, then what happens is it requires more resources to create that clothing, and also more of that clothing may go into the dump. And they said, well, what if we make a campaign? What if we make a program where people actually can send their clothing into us for free and we will repair it? What if we show people how to repair the clothing themselves so they can keep these clothes longer periods of time? And there were people in their company that were worried about it, right? Because they're so used to the mindset of hitting goals and hitting targets versus the just cause. And Yvon Chouinard was saying, I'm making decisions based on the just cause of saving the earth, of having a lower impact on earth. And the other guys are trying to make decisions based on metrics. And he said, you know what? I don't care. We're going to move forward, even if it hurts us financially, in order to push the just cause. What happened, though, was really, really interesting. They did marketing and pushed that program out there to the world. What did it do? It increased the value of the clothing to people. It increased the value of the clothing to people where they were willing to pay more money for that clothing, knowing that it was higher quality, knowing that they cared about the mission, knowing that they had a shared stake in this just cause that both the customers and the business believed in. And also, it was an amazing marketing thing, because now people go, man, you know, I'm going to pay $60 for this thing when I can get the other one for $45 at a different store from a different brand, because I know that I can send this in and it's got a lifetime guarantee. Another example was on the Black Friday. They wrote a big ad that essentially took out a full page ad in the New York Times that said, do not buy our clothing. Like, big, huge headline. You guys can look it up and Google it. Do not buy our clothing. And it talked about all the resources that go into making one of their fleece jackets, you know, the amount of water, the amount of carbon footprint that it added, all these things that are not good things. And then it said, here's the deal. If you buy our clothing, it actually is better quality and all this stuff. Guys, they sold more of those clothes than they ever had in any Black Friday. They weren't trying to grow. They were trying to advance their just cause. But so many people believed in the just cause. It ended up being an amazing marketing tactic too. And here's the cool thing about it. They didn't then go, oh my gosh, that worked terrible. Now we're selling more clothing. What they had realized is they said, no, people were making decisions to, rather than buying clothing that's cheaper over here that they're going to have to throw away in 3, 4, 5 years, they ended up spending more money with us and trading rather than buying the less expensive, less quality clothing that's going to be thrown away into landfills. They move that money over to Patagonia, where they're now able to buy clothing that's going to be around for a longer period of time, and it's going to have a less impact on Earth. Guys, they made those decisions based on just cause, not based on profits. There's so many other examples of Patagonia doing that. So I want to wrap up this podcast with a couple more thoughts here and toss them your way. Right now, we have some causes. We have things that we believe in. We have a mission that's clear at Carrot. But I still feel there's this gap right now between our just cause that we're driving forward, and is everybody in our company thinking about that just cause? Are they making decisions based on the just cause, even if they will hurt us financially in the short term or long term? Okay, I believe if you have a just cause that matters, and if you have a just cause that other people believe in, that actually you'll grow over the long term. You might take some short-term financial hits, but you'll grow over the long term because your customers will believe the same things. You'll attract those people, and you'll be a more premium product as a result. And so that's something I'm really thinking about. That's something I'm really going to be over the next several weeks looking at even deeper. It's like, where can we fully wrap our entire business around a just cause that matters, around a just cause that our entire company weighs every decision based off of, not once a quarter when we do our giving program. And so this is just the next evolution of Carrot into being an infinite company. Okay, because if we don't have a just cause, you're going to make decisions based on finite decisions. You're going to make the decision that helps you meet the metrics today, this month, this quarter, but it might actually hurt you over the next year, 2, 4, 5, 10 years to where you're just on this hamster wheel of entrepreneurship, continually having to restart things, wondering why you can't really fully enjoy the entrepreneur journey as much as you're destined to. Okay, the next thing I'm going to say right here, guys, is just kind of, I guess, recap that. Think about your just cause. What are you passionate about? Once again, Patagonia is the earth. It's low impact on the earth. And they do everything all the way from, there was this news story that was put out about the way that the sheep were treated in this place down in, Peru, that they get the wool for their shirts. And immediately they stopped selling the most popular products in their whole line because they wanted to, they back up their just cause. They're like, this is going to hurt us by tens of millions of dollars, but we can no longer purchase wool from these places. We're going to set up a whole program that finds, certifies, and helps run these ranches where the sheep are raised in a humane way, and then we're going to help them build up a better structure. And then we're going to start to buy that, and then we're going to start to make our products. So they sacrificed tens of millions of dollars in exchange for advancing the just cause, which was amazing. So let me read a couple things to you from another book I was reading here, guys. This is just from my notes, so bear with me here. So this right here is really, really interesting and cool. And I'm just going to read this from you. Okay. Attaining an aim isn't what makes us happy. Okay. So goals in business, an aim, a number of deals, a number of transactions, a volume number, a revenue number, a profit number, buying your dream house, buying your dream car, whatever it is, writing the book. Okay. Attaining an aim isn't what makes us happy. Attaining the aim actually crashes the system. Okay. When we have to make a new aim, then we have to make a new aim, right? Attaining that goal, as soon as you reach the goal, it crashes the system. You've got to be moving towards something. We're happy when we're making progress on the aim. Okay. We have to have an aim. You've got to have a goal. You've got to have goals that you're moving towards. But we're really happy when we're making progress towards those goals. Okay. The nobler the aim. So going back to just cause, the nobler the aim, the better the life. Okay. The nobler the aim, the better the life. Going back to Patagonia, they had an aim that was incredibly noble. It wasn't selfish to the founder. It wasn't selfish to the person and their desires. It was something that was a noble aim that helped a lot of other people. Very noble aim. Okay, so I'm going to reread that. Attaining an aim isn't what makes us happy. Attaining the aim crashes the system. Okay, once we reach that goal, it crashes the system. Then we have to make a new goal or a new aim. We're happy when we're making progress on the aim or momentum. We have to have an aim, and the nobler the aim or the nobler the goal or the nobler the just cause, okay, the better the life. So guys, pick an aim. Find a noble aim, a just cause that's noble, that you truly believe in, that other people can believe in, that's not selfish to you. Okay, the noble aim is what sustains us. Having a noble aim is what sustains us. If the aim is just for selfish pleasure, it will crumble. Okay, so if the aim is to get the car and there's really no extra aim after that, or if the aim is to hit this revenue number, or if the aim is to hit this deal amount, or if the aim is to get the big fancy house, if those are all great aims, like I want a fancy house, I want the great car, I want to get a jet, stuff like that, whatever, right? I want to get those things. But that's not the aim. If that is the aim, it will crumble. Your happiness will suffer. Okay, you will find yourself trying to find a new aim and a new aim and a new aim and continually being on this hamster wheel of happiness, hamster wheel of entrepreneurship, this hamster wheel of trying to find quote unquote success no matter how much money you have, because every time you hit the aim, the system crumbles, the system crashes, and then you have to set a new aim, which is good for a period of time. You reach the goal, you reach the aim, the system crashes again. Guys, find a noble aim, a just cause that's noble. You will find happiness forever. Okay? You will find happiness forever. The noble aim is what sustains us. And so that's what I want to leave this podcast with, guys. I'm going to wrap it up, head back and hang out with my buddy Kellen. And I appreciate the heck out of you guys. I want to find you guys. I want to help you guys find that time to pull back and think, like I'm finding time to do that here on my sabbatical. I've got another 2 weeks in, a week and a half in. Next week, I'm going to start pushing forward the book some more. I'm going to start getting blog posts going. I'm going to start writing content on this topic. If you guys like this, DM me on Instagram, post it darn review or comment. Guys, we have over 30,000 downloads per month, each and every month in this podcast. And we've got several hundred amazing reviews, but there's a lot of you who aren't taking the time to leave a review. I would absolutely love for you to take the time to leave the review. Go to Apple Podcasts, go to Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you listen to this, and leave a review. It helps us spread this message even more. Guys, I want to save entrepreneurs from building businesses that trap them. I want to save entrepreneurs. I want to save you from building a business that chases aims that are going to crash the system and crumble the system over and over again. I want to help you find a noble aim, a noble just cause, and that your business drives forward. That is how you're going to reach true entrepreneurship freedom. That's how you're going to reach true happiness in life. And that's how you're then going to make the impact that you want to make. That's why I exist. I want to help you guys build businesses that impact the world. I want to help you guys build businesses that are far beyond just the money, far beyond just paying your bills, far beyond just helping you get an amazing house, an amazing car, an amazing life. I want to have you make an amazing impact. And what I talked about in this episode is going to help you do that. Go get the book Infinite Game from Simon Sinek. Okay. Go get the book $1 Trillion Coach if you're looking to build a team and really looking to make a great impact. Okay, go listen to the Business Wars podcast episode with North Face and Patagonia and really work and try to find what is my cause? What am I passionate about? What can I literally push forward and die for over the next 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years of my life, where it's what I eat, breathe, and think about. Okay, balance, guys. If you think about a board, a balancing board, balance is not staying perfectly balanced on the top with the board being level. Okay, balance is you're moving to the left, moving to the right, and you're continually going back and forth trying to recenter yourself as much as you can. But the aim is not to stay completely level. Okay, you can never stay completely level for very long. You're always going one side deep to the next side deep. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm going really deep on family, really deep on everything but business. Okay, and then when I get back, I'm going to go really deep over there and then continually on the daily, weekly basis, balance back and forth between family, between fitness, between health, all those kinds of things. So it's a continual part of my life. It's not something that, hey, I'm going to focus on health now for a week, and then in 6 weeks, I'm going to pick up the health thing again. Certain things need to be all the time. You need to create those routines, those disciplines that help you do that. But as far as I want you to dive deep on family, guys, dive deep on family. Take a week, take 2 weeks, take a whole month like I'm doing, and dive deep on family. And then put structures in place where family is important, insanely important, the most important thing, maybe other than God, on the daily basis. But then you're diving deep on business. And then you create these little mini vacations, these little mini sabbaticals every 6 weeks, every 8 weeks, diving deep back again on family and on your own personal health. All right, guys, love you guys. Have an amazing rest of the time. Go get those resources. Seek out the just cause. Stop going just for aims that are going to crash the system over and over again. And I'd love to hear your story. Thanks, guys. Talk soon.